Okay, this is a video to explain a few different things about using file handling in Python, which will hopefully give you some pointers towards creating your high scoreboard for the programming project that you're working on. So I've got an empty idle window at the moment and a empty text file. And I've called the text file name underscore list. In there, I'm just going to type in some people's names, completely at random, just making some names up. Who else should we have? This is where you just can only think of really stupid names. I don't even know if that's how you spell Patricia. Who else can we have? Tom, Dave. I don't know. Debbie. Okay. And I'm going to save that. So I've just done Control and Save there. I'm going to close the text file for now. Okay, so into my idle window now, what I'm going to do is ask the program to open that file, to open the file and just read from it. So the command to do that is file equals open, and then you type in the name of the text file. So mine was called name underscore list. It was a text file, so I'm adding the .txt, that's important there. And I'm also going to tell Python that I just want to read the information. I'm then going to convert the information in that file, which was just a list of names, into an actual list. So I'm going to have a list called name list, and I am going to read from the file, which is file.read. Oops. And I'm also going to convert that into single items in a list. If I just do file.read, that will take all the information. In fact, I'll show you what happens if we do that. Let me just print name list and save that as name list testing, or just name list will do, won't it? And that can go in my downloads. Where's downloads? There we go. Okay, and then I can run it. So that has taken each element and it's printed it exactly how the text file looks, which is quite good. But in order to be able to call each element and kind of use it usefully, I'm going to want those to be stored in separate elements of a list. So if I just go back here and add dot split lines, what this will now do is, you'll see the difference. It adds each element into a list, which is going to be really useful because I'm going to be able to sort the list, order the list, add to the list, and so on. So the next thing I'm going to do is sort the list. Before I carry on though, it's really important that you get used to closing your file once you've finished with it. So I've taken information out, I've added it to a list, I'm finished with that file now, for now anyway, so I'm going to close the file. That's good practice when working with files. This was just a test line. I'm gonna keep that in, but we don't really need that. But that would be good to kind of take a screenshot now of the program and the output to store as evidence in your write-up. So what I'm going to do now is just sort the list into alphabetical order, just using name list dot sort. And again, if I print the name list again, you'll see the difference. Oops. And it's just put it into alphabetical order. The other things you can do here is you can ask it to sort the list in reverse order. So if I do name list dot sort, inside the brackets you can put reverse equals true. Okay, and again, if I just print the name list again, just copy and paste this, then you'll see that it goes in reverse order alphabetically, and that's going to be really useful when you come to do this with numbers. If these were integer values, we would see, say this would be in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this would go 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 if there were 7 items. So that's going to be helpful to you for the work you want to do. Next, I'm going to add something to my list. Okay, so name list dot append. We'll add something to the end of the list, and I'm going to append it with a new name, and I'm going to use the name, I don't know, Ben. Okay, now this will automatically go, if I print the name list again, I've saved that, so print the name list again, Ben will be added to the, sorry I just tapped it twice there, added to the end. So fortunately that's incorrect alphabetical order, because the reverse is equal to true at the moment. But if I take reverse equals true out, this will, and run it again, you'll see that Ben, let me just scroll down. You'll see that Ben is still at the end because it was the newest item. So when you append a file, or a list, sorry, it will automatically go to the end. And so this is now out of order. So what I would need to do to resort it is just ask it to resort. And now if I print again, we've got Ben at the front. And if we want to add in reverse equals true, oops, don't need that bracket, and run, there we've got the same as before, but Ben is now in the correct position. If I change Ben to something else in the middle of the alphabet, I've already got Robert, haven't I? Susan, then you can see that Susan has been put into the correct position. And again, if I take reverse equals true out, we've got the correct order again down here. So the other thing I want to show you for this section of video is how to send that back to the text file. So what we've done is we've added a new element to the list, and we can send that back to the text file. Another thing we could do is, say if I only want to ask it to show me the first 3 elements of the list, we can do that by asking it to in a for loop. So for item in range 0 to 3, say, we can ask it to print name list, and then in square brackets, because it's a list, that's how you call an item in a list, print name underscore list square brackets item. Okay, and let me show you how that looks. So here we've got the first 3 elements of this list, and just the first 3 elements. These are still all stored in the list, but I'm just showing the first 3 of them. So as I said, the final thing I want to show you is how to send that back, how to write that back into that text file that we had earlier. So I'm going to need to reopen it. So I'm going to use this first line here, but I'm going to tweak it a little bit. In order to be able to write to a text file rather than just read from it, we're going to need to change the R to a W. Okay. And then there's a few different things you can do, but for this to stay, for it to look the way it looks in the list at the moment, let me just open the list again now. For it to look like this, line after line after line of new names, and notice at the moment we've not got, who is our new person, we've not got Susan in there because we've not told it to be Susan to be sent back to the name list. We're going to want to use another for loop. So for item in name list, sorry if you can hear the dogs barking, hopefully the headphones I'm using are blocking most of that out. We're going to, let me scroll down. I don't know if it's going to work. There we go. Okay, so for item in name list, we are going to do file.write item. So for each element in the list, write to the file item plus a new line. Okay, so item plus new line. And we're then going to need to remember to close the file. Okay, so let's run this for one final time and see how it looks. So we've got Claire, Dave and Debbie there because we only asked it to print the first 3 items. But let's check the text file now and see what we've got. We've now got, in alphabetical order, we've now got the original elements and Susan in the format that we initially set it out to be. Okay, so that's everything that I wanted to have and how I wanted it to be displayed. You can then obviously carry on with the rest of your code for other things that you want to be able to do. But hopefully that will give you a start as to how to bring elements in from a text file, sort them or use them or edit them or add extra elements, turn them into a list, use the list and obviously then write back to the text file. Now obviously if we have a more difficult list, or if we have, and as I said before, that will work with numbers. Be careful with numbers. If I change this to numbers, so like 5, 12, 17, 3, 21, and 37, that's 27, 37. I'll keep the same name, even though that's a bit misleading. If I run that same file now, look what happens. Okay, everything is the same, but the problem is that these elements are now strings. Okay, so that may or may not be a problem. But just be aware of the fact that these elements are strings and therefore where we've asked them to order them, they haven't been ordered. Or they kind of have, but they've been ordered incorrectly. They've been ordered by first element, not by the actual value of the number. So they've put all the 1s first, then the 2s, then the 3s, and then the 4s, and then the 5s. And then we've also added in Susan. And that's because they're being read as strings, not as integers. Okay, so you would also need, if you were going to use a text file for this kind of thing, you're also going to need to turn the elements in your list of numbers into integers. Okay, so bear that in mind. Right, again, there's more things to come, but that will get you a good part of the way as an introduction to file handling. The most complicated thing that you might want to do is you might want to save a person's score. So you might have your work set up like this, or your scoring. Okay, and if you've got something like this, then it's going to be really difficult, or it's not going to be very easy to use a list to hold this information. Okay, now we can still run the file, but it's not really going to do what we want. It's going to start doing strange things. So it would be better to use something called a dictionary for that. So my next video is going to talk you through how to use dictionaries. Okay?